All right, let's get right into it. Forget all the noise, forget the hype for a minute. Today, we're not talking about some fleeting trend. We're diving deep into a fundamental tectonic shift that's happening under our feet. The incredible convergence of artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency. And this isn't just another 4-year market cycle. This is shaping up to be a super cycle.
Look, if you were around for the crypto frenzy back in 2017, you know exactly what a hype cycle feels like. It was driven almost entirely by promises, speculation, and, well, a lot of hype. But what we're seeing now, the cycle that's emerging for 2025, it just feels different. It feels like it's grounded in something real, something tangible, actual real-world utility that's being pulled into existence by the massive demands of the AI revolution.
So what do we actually mean when we say supercycle? It's not just about the charts going up. A supercycle is when a market is driven by a genuine, technology-driven paradigm shift. It's a breakthrough that leads to widespread adoption and real practical use cases. It's the moment a technology stops being just a cool idea and starts becoming an essential piece of our infrastructure.
So here's how we're going to break this down today. We're going to look at the evidence for this supercycle thesis by exploring its 3 core pillars. First, the physical power grid that AI desperately needs. Second, the economic layer it's going to use to actually conduct business. And third, the institutional legitimacy that's finally coming from Wall Street. And then we'll wrap it all up with a framework for how to think about strategy in this new world.
Okay, so here's the bottom line, the core idea behind this whole thing. The engine for this new cycle isn't just wild speculation anymore. It's the powerful, symbiotic relationship that's forming between artificial intelligence and blockchain. You see, AI has enormous needs, and it turns out that blockchain technology is uniquely and perfectly positioned to meet them. Let's start with the foundation. The first, and maybe the most important pillar, is the physical infrastructure. We need to talk about the actual nuts and bolts, the power grid that this entire AI revolution is being built on top of.
So, to really get this, we have to ask a super simple question. When you think about these incredible, power-hungry AI models like ChatGPT, or the ones that create those amazing images, what is the single most important resource they need? What's their fuel?
The answer is one thing: raw, massive computing power. We're talking specifically about the processing muscle you get from GPUs, those graphics cards. AI's hunger for these chips is so insane that it's created a global shortage. And that demand is only accelerating.
And that global shortage? That's exactly where crypto comes in with a pretty brilliant solution. It's a concept called depin, which stands for decentralized physical infrastructure. Just think of it as a blockchain network that creates a global, open marketplace for physical things, like hardware. Honestly, the easiest way to understand this is to think of it like an Airbnb, but for computer power. It's simple. You might have a powerful GPU just sitting idle in your computer right now. With depin, you can connect it to the network and rent out its processing power. An AI company that needs that power can then tap into it, and you get paid for it in crypto tokens. It's a way to unlock all this unused hardware around the world to meet AI's incredible demand.
Okay, so we've got the physical layer covered. But what about the money? How does an economy that's increasingly full of autonomous AI agents actually, pay for things? Well, they're going to need a wallet. I mean, think about it. The traditional financial system was built for people, not for programs. An AI agent running 24/7 can't exactly walk into a bank and open a checking account, right? It needs a financial system that speaks its language, a digital native, permissionless way to hold and spend money to pay for the data it needs or the other services it uses.
And that's exactly why blockchains are the perfect answer. They're built for this stuff. They enable the kind of high-speed, automated, machine-to-machine payments that can operate globally, around the clock, with no middlemen. This really is the foundation for a whole new economy driven by AI. So, we've got the physical grid with depin, and we have the economic layer with on-chain payments. But there's a third piece of the puzzle, and it's a big one. For this to truly become a supercycle, you need legitimacy, and you need massive capital. And that brings us to our third pillar. Wall Street is finally coming on-chain.
And hey, you don't have to take my word for it. The biggest players on the planet, institutions like BlackRock, are saying this out loud. They're all talking about tokenization, which is just a fancy way of saying they're taking real-world assets like stocks, bonds, even real estate, and putting them on a blockchain.
And the amount of money we're talking about here is just staggering. Some projections estimate that this market for tokenized real-world assets, or RWAs, could hit $16 trillion. Let that sink in for a second. That represents an absolute tidal wave of institutional capital getting ready to flow into this ecosystem. and it's bringing an enormous stability and legitimacy with it. Okay, so with all of these huge technological and financial forces at play, you're probably wondering, how do I even think about this? So let's talk about a framework for navigating this new environment. And let me be crystal clear, this is just a model for analysis. This is not financial advice.
So one popular model for this is known as the barbell approach. The idea is all about creating balance. On one side, the heavy side of the barbell, you have the majority of a portfolio, maybe 80%, in established blue-chip assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum. The focus there is on preserving wealth. Then, on the other, much smaller end of the barbell, you dedicate a piece to higher risk but potentially higher growth narratives, like the AI and depin projects we've been talking about.
But, and this is a huge but, let's be brutally honest here. With high growth narratives comes immense risk. In any tech boom, the vast majority of projects fail. This number is a stark reminder that for every one project that succeeds, countless speculative ones, especially the meme coins with no real utility, will likely go straight to zero. The focus has to be on real infrastructure.
And just one more time, because it's that important. This is purely a technological analysis, not financial advice. This market is incredibly volatile, so please always do your own extensive research.
So at the end of the day, what's the big takeaway here? It's that you have to look past the day-to-day price swings. What we've been talking about is not a get-rich-quick scheme, it's a fundamental architectural rebuild of our digital world. So the real question isn't what coin is going to moon, the real question is who is actually building the tools, the rails, and the essential infrastructure for this new AI-powered internet? Because that is where the real revolution is actually happening.